WallStreetBets, you know the name. For years, it's been the very definition of internet-fueled market chaos. But something's changing. What was once just a movement living on digital forums is now, believe it or not, stepping into the real world. This signals a really profound and honestly unexpected evolution. So let's break down exactly how this digital rebellion is starting to look a lot like a financial institution.
And get this, a 3-day collision of culture, capital, and calculated chaos. That's how the organizers are describing an upcoming event that really captures this whole shift. It's a fascinating way to put it, right? They're framing the raw, populist energy of these retail traders not as just random noise, but as a new, really formidable force in finance. And, well, a force that's now being institutionalized.
So that leads us to the big question here. How on earth did a chaotic internet forum get its own Davos-style summit? It's a wild journey, from a niche subreddit to a major financial conference. And to really get it, you have to understand it's a story about culture, community, and a huge battle over ownership and power in our digital age. To see where it's going, we've got to look at where it came from.
All right, so let's rewind and start at the beginning. This whole WallStreetBets phenomenon, it didn't just pop up overnight. Not at all. It was actually built over almost a decade, and it all built up to that one moment that basically brought global finance to a screeching halt.
And you can see the progression pretty clearly here. It all starts back in 2012, just a small forum for traders taking on some pretty high-risk strategies. Fast forward to 2021, and boom, the GameStop short squeeze. That's when their coordinated action showed the entire world the collective power of retail investors going up against massive hedge funds. And now, this 2026 conference, well, that's looking like its official entry into the mainstream financial world.
Now, to really get what makes this community tick, you have to understand its core identity. They call themselves degens. It's short for degenerate, and it's a label they wear with pride. It's all about rejecting that traditional slow and steady investing. Instead, they go for high-stakes, high-leverage bets. This whole mindset is absolutely central to everything, both their biggest wins and their biggest controversies. And it's exactly this culture that the new conference is trying to tap into.
But, under the hood of this whole movement, there's a really critical conflict going on. One that brings up some huge questions about intellectual property in today's creator economy. In fact, the fight for the WallStreetBets name itself has become a major case study in who owns what in the digital world.
And this is where the founder's perspective comes in. The founder, Jaime Rogozinski, did an Ask Me Anything on Reddit and laid it all out. He framed his lawsuit not just as some kind of money dispute, but as a fight for creator rights. He basically accused the platform Reddit of systematically taking intellectual property from the very users who built these brands.
And according to Rogozinski, this wasn't a one-off thing. Just look at this list. These are other huge subreddit names that he says Reddit has also trademarked. Things like Explain Like I'm 5 and Ask Me Anything. The argument is that this points to a much bigger platform strategy about who gets to own the valuable things created inside its ecosystem.
But the legal system saw things very differently. In June of 2025, the Ninth Circuit Court actually ruled in favor of Reddit. The whole decision came down to this legal principle of use in commerce. Essentially, the court decided that the core service being sold here was the discussion forum itself, the infrastructure that Reddit provides and maintains. And because of that, they concluded that Reddit, not the founder, was the one who first used the WallStreetBets mark in a commercial sense.
So what you have here are two completely opposing ideas about ownership. On one side, you have the creator's argument, I built the community, I built the brand, so I should own it. But on the other side, you have the platform's argument, we provided the digital land, the infrastructure, and that's the service that gives us the rights to brands built on it. And really, this isn't just about WallStreetBets, it's a central tension for the entire creator economy right now.
Yeah, and that public campaign for ownership, it really didn't go as he'd hoped. This quote from an anonymous user during his AMA says it all. Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. It just perfectly captures how a huge part of the community felt. A lot of them saw his legal battle as a huge misstep, and ironically, the very platform he was suing became the main stage for all the public backlash against him.
Now, beyond the whole legal drama, the culture of WallStreetBets itself is, well, it's really polarizing. It's celebrated by some as this incredible populist uprising, but at the same time, it's condemned by others as a source of just really destructive financial gambling.
You really see two completely different stories about this community. There's the Robin Hood narrative, right? The idea that these are average people banding together to take on powerful hedge funds and a rigged system. But then there's the much darker critique, the one that calls it a pyramid scheme, where early investors get rich by convincing later investors to hold the bag on assets that have no real value. Some critics have even called the culture horribly toxic for encouraging people to gamble their life savings.
And this kind of chaotic popularity, it comes with some very real, tangible financial risks. Take this number, for example, $2 million. This isn't just a random figure, it represents a very specific, documented case of how dangerous things can get when this kind of energy gets exploited.
So here's what happened. Back in May of 2021, some scammers created a fake crypto token called WSB Finance. They used the powerful WallStreetBets name to build a ton of hype, and then they just disappeared, taking about $2 million of investors' money with them. It's a perfect example of how the brand's anti-establishment vibe can be turned into a weapon, creating massive risks for the very people who are drawn to it.
Okay, so where does all this leave us? Well, this WallStreetBets conference, it's not happening in a vacuum. It's popping up at a really interesting time, a time when the entire digital asset market is going through this huge shift towards maturity and, you guessed it, institutional acceptance.
And if you look at where this conference fits into the bigger picture of financial summits in 2026, its unique spot becomes really clear. You've got the World Economic Forum in Davos, which is all about global policy. Then you have WallStreetBets Live in Miami, which is explicitly focused on harnessing retail culture and something they're calling smart chaos. It's pretty obvious they're trying to be a bridge between two very different worlds.
And remember, this whole move toward becoming an institution is happening just as the wider digital market is growing up. The era of just pure, wild euphoria seems to be fading, and now the focus is shifting to infrastructure. Stablecoins are dominating transactions, regulated things like ETFs are becoming normal. The market is literally building the financial plumbing for a new system. So what you're seeing is the raw, speculative energy of retail investors starting to meet serious institutional-grade tech.
So what's the end goal of this conference? Well, they're calling it a serendipity machine. That's their term. The idea is to take all that chaotic, creative energy from the degen retail crowd and connect it with the structured money and influence of the Davos institutional world. The hope, it seems, is to turn these unpredictable movements into something productive, and maybe, just maybe, profitable innovation. And so this whole story leaves us with a really critical question for the future. As these powerful online communities start to formalize, as they become institutions, the lines of who owns and controls them get incredibly blurry. The WallStreetBets saga really forces us to ask, where does the power actually lie? Is it with the platform that provides the digital space? Is it with the founder who had the original idea? Or is it with the crowd itself, the people who create the culture and all the value? There's no easy answer here, and how we figure this out is probably going to define the next chapter of our digital world.